What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Amazing Mets fan cast. Big victory tonight for the New York Mets. We beat the Oakland Athletics 9-2 in Oakland. Big victory for the Mets for a lot of reasons that we're going to discuss tonight. What a great performance. What a way to bounce back after that awful last game in Milwaukee last week. Had a great series, won 6 in a row. Unfortunately, we had a little bit of a setback on Wednesday, but that day of rest seemed to really help because the Mets were back at it again, adding on another great victory, 9-2 tonight versus the Oakland Athletics. Big time victory. Why? For many reasons. We are in a huge division race, as all you amazing Mets fans know. And tonight, the Atlanta Braves continued their woes, which I'm going to talk about later on in the episode. And our victory tonight brings us to 2.5 games above Atlanta for that division title, one that we need so much that I've talked about on the last few episodes. So let's go right on into the show tonight. Let's talk about this great victory that the Mets had tonight, beating the Oakland Athletics. Chris Bassett tonight looked positively flawless. Couple little mistakes here and there, but pretty much he looked pretty flawless throughout most of the evening tonight. Chris Bassett has been a workhorse all year long for this team. He has been the consistent factor for the Mets all year long. When other pitchers have gone down with some injuries and some different things, Chris Bassett has been the guy that has been there all year long for us. He's been durable. He's been amazing the second half of the season. Probably one of the second half MVPs of this team has been Chris Bassett, and he continued on with his great performance tonight. He pitched 8 innings tonight. Yes, they let him go that long, even with the big lead that he had throughout the game. He went 8 innings tonight, only gave up 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Chris Bassett, nothing more can really be said, but just to say he looked absolutely amazing tonight. And he got some great run support from the Mets tonight. Real nice to see a few Mets that were getting some hits that haven't been getting hits lately. Darren Ruff even got on tonight. He got an important hit in the early part of the game. Mark Vientos seemed to kind of snap out of the slump that he's been in since he's been up there, hitting the ball much better tonight. A lot of people played big factors in this victory tonight, but none more than Eduardo Escobar. This guy has been one of our MVPs probably the last 6 weeks of the season since he's came back from his injury. Continued it on tonight, hit his first grand slam in the 5th inning. That was kind of the kiss of death for the Oakland Athletics tonight. And Eduardo Escobar once again helped this team out, continued on with this great resurgence that he's had late in the season, really showing why we signed him in the offseason. He struggled most all throughout the season until he went down with his injury, but he has really taken the time during that period of his injury to get better, to improve. I said it on the last show. He openly talked about how he analyzed and looked at his swing and really tried to see some of the flaws in his mechanics that he was having in the early parts of the season. Used that time effectively and has been on an absolute tear since he's come back off the disabled list 5 or 6 weeks ago. And once again tonight, as I said, he proved his worth. He proved his value, why we signed him in the offseason. Hit that big grand slam right over the left field wall tonight to give the Mets the lead at that point, 7-0. Mets bats tonight looking real good. Let's take a look at the lineup a little bit. Brandon Nimmo, thank God, came back into the lineup tonight. We had a little bit of an injury scare with him in the last game in Milwaukee, but fortunately for us, everything seemed to work out fine, and Brandon looked good tonight. Same with Jeff McNeil. He got very banged up in that last outing as well in Milwaukee with a very hard fall going to catch a fly ball. And I was a little worried he might have been beaten up a little bit, but thankfully he looked like that day of rest helped him out too. He looked much better tonight. He had been in a little bit of a slump. He had been in a couple of 0 for 10 slumps and a couple hits sandwiched in between there, but really wasn't hitting the ball too well the last week and a half or so. So it was great to see him snap out of it tonight too. But right from the top of the lineup, Brandon Nimmo had 2 hits tonight and 4 at bats, 2 RBIs. Tyler Naquin came in later on in the game. Unfortunately, didn't get any hits. Mark Canha went 2 for 5 tonight, nearly had a home run. Poor Oakland A's center fielder almost got knocked out going for his double earlier in the game, but Kenna has also been in a little bit of a slump, seemed to break out of it tonight, was looking much more comfortable at the plate. Could it be a factor that he played a lot in Oakland before, and this is what maybe he knew this ballpark and in this stadium very well? Could very well be. But the former Oakland A tonight had a 2-for-5 performance, and really good to see him snap out of the little slump that he was in. Francisco Lindor went 1-for-5 tonight as well. Hasn't been hitting. Had that great grand slam the other day, but had been struggling a little bit at the plate the last week or so too. But he's starting to kind of snap out of it as well. I know that we had that big grand slam a couple of days ago, but I've kind of noticed his swing has been a little bit off. He was on a real hot streak before that, was kind of cooling down a little bit. It was nice to see him get some good rips at the plate tonight as well. Pete Alonso was 1-for-3 tonight, drew 2 walks. Darren Ruff, as I mentioned earlier, finally got a hit, went 1-for-4. Escobar, grand slam tonight, 1-for-4, 4 RBIs. Jeff McNeil, 3-for-5 tonight. Great performance from Jeff, getting on base all night. Mark Vientos, the young up-and-coming star that many people were excited to and been wanting them to call up all season long. He got called up a couple weeks ago. Has been very disappointing so far for the most part for Mets fans, but looked much better at the plate tonight. I was thinking earlier on, as I've been watching him hit throughout the last week and a half or so since he's been called up, that this guy couldn't hit a breaking ball at all. Looked much better with it tonight. He looked much more comfortable at the plate. It seems that he's understanding the major league throwers a little bit more, how they're doing things. And I hope this is a great sign for Mark Vientos that he could snap out of it, because this is going to be a kid. If all things work out the way they should with him, he's going to be a big star in this team for many years to come, hopefully. Very young, only 23 years old. Got 2 RBIs tonight, got on base twice. Great for him. James McCann, he's James McCann. 0-for-4 tonight. No hits, no production at all at the plate. Can we just get rid of James McCann's contract already? It would be the nicest thing in the world would be to just say goodbye to McCann. I know he's great behind the plate defensively, but my God, he is dreadful at the plate most of the time. Has had a little bit of a hot streak along with Nido. Nido's been on a tear, but has had a little bit of a hot streak at one point along when Nido was having it, but he has just completely cooled off once again. And James McCann is back to the old James McCann and is absolutely producing nothing at the plate. I can't believe we got 2 more years on this contract. I hope there's some way in the offseason that the Mets can say goodbye to him, keep Nido up next year, and have him groom Francisco Alvarez and assist him as he comes up and makes his transition, hopefully to become the everyday starting catcher for the Mets in the future. But in the playoffs, I really don't want to see a ton of James McCann. I don't know about everybody else, but I just don't want to see it. His defensive work is good. Very, very good, actually. The hitting, the lack of offense just makes me not want to see him. Nido has been killing the ball at the plate a lot lately. To me, I'm going with Nido most all the time. James McCann, he's got to go. But tonight's star of the game, I'm going to give it to is Chris Bassett, of course, with his amazing 8-inning performance. Lowered his ERA to 3.27 tonight. Drew Smith came in the 9th inning. I'm glad Buck brought him out tonight, especially after giving up that monster grand slam the other day to Milwaukee. It was good to see Drew get out there. Drew didn't give up any hits. He didn't give up any runs tonight. Had a strikeout in his inning. It was a good way for Buck to give him back his confidence. So I was real glad to see that Drew Smith got out, because he has a real good potential to be a big part of our playoff rotation in the bullpen if he makes that 26-man roster. They're going to have to trim a few spots. Who's going to get trimmed when we get to the postseason? It's going to be an interesting time. If people want to make that postseason roster, if they're bubble players like a Vientos potentially, like a Drew Smith, maybe even Joely Rodriguez, this is the time now to shine. This is the time to put in the work. If you want to make that 26-man roster for the playoffs, you got to earn your spot. We're going to talk about that at a later date, though, because I want to break down the Mets roster on another show just separately to look at where we might be in the postseason and what we might do and who maybe are the couple of few people that have the biggest potential to get knocked off of that playoff roster. But Atlanta lost tonight. Atlanta has looked terrible at the plate, and it couldn't come at a better time for us Mets fans, because we need Atlanta to cool off. When Atlanta cools off and they're losing games, We need to be winning them. If we want to win this division, if we want to get that bye in the first round of the playoffs, we need this division, and we need Atlanta to keep on losing and doing what they're doing. I believe over there in Atlanta, Matt Olson is in just an awful slump the last 3 weeks. And I hope for our sake as Mets fans that they continue to keep sliding, that they continue to get up these victories like they have in the last few days. Because what does that mean for us? It means we're going to gain ground when we actually win. It seems the last few weeks, every time we win, they were winning. Every time we lose, they lose. Now, finally, we're able to get a couple of victories up on them, or a couple of games up on them, with a victory tonight and their loss, and then their loss yesterday when we had an off day. So now we are 2.5 games above the Braves. Hopefully, they can get swept out, and we can sweep out Oakland this weekend, get several games ahead of them. That way, when we play them next weekend, hopefully we can take a deep breath, relax a little bit, and know that we might be in the driver's seat to winning that division. But you never do know in baseball. That's the beauty of it. That's the fun part about the playoffs, when you get amazing teams like the Braves, like the Mets out there battling for that division spot. It's going to be a fun last week and a half of the season, folks. And us Mets fans, we're going to be tuning into everything to make sure that our Mets get those big victories so we get that division title. That's all I got for you tonight. I'll probably be back with another show or two over the next few days. So I want to make sure that check out and follow the page here on YouTube. Check out our fun new Facebook page that we're doing. It's the only social media that we are going to be using for now. So check out the Amazing Mets Fancast on Facebook. And if you want it in just audio format, go on over, check it out on all major podcast outlets, the Amazing Mets Fancast, and you'll be able to find it anywhere you're looking at. So Facebook, YouTube, and now on the podcast side, check us out, Amazing Mets Fancast. Make sure you like, subscribe for the show. We would greatly appreciate it. Drop your comments below if you'd like as well. Let us know what you're thinking about this big victory tonight. Where do the Mets stand over the next week and a half? Where do you think they're going to end up? Sound off. Let us know. We'd be happy to hear all your feedback and comments, and we really appreciate you checking out the show tonight. So until the next show, thanks for watching the Amazing Mets Fancast. We'll see you again real soon.